Hey, welcome to the second video of this series on AI domains. In this video, we will talk about computer vision. That is how we can teach the machines to see. Fundamentally, computer vision enables machines to interpret visual data, that could be images or videos. Primarily, this is done by object detection, image recognition, pattern analysis, and more. And we'll be discussing all this on a broad level in this video. Let us start with example of computer vision. How many of you have seen people they wave the camera in front of their face and it opens? No thumbprints or no pattern or to be used. That is computer vision system at work. Other examples, autonomous vehicles or self-driving cars as you would like to call them. Then medical imaging. The scans of human body parts are fed to the system and they will diagnose if there is a problem or the person is perfectly fit. Then again, quality control in manufacturing. So in manufacturing units, typically after the production is done, someone would inspect the object to see that it meets all the high standards of quality set by the company. And this is something that can easily be done by the computer vision systems. In fact, for larger and complex systems, it can be done better by the computer vision system for all the reasons why computers are better at doing repetitive tasks than humans. I'm not getting into that because you already know about it. So in a computer vision system, this is what happens broadly. The machines will get an input, a visual input. Then they will use algorithms to analyze that visual input. One computer vision system can have multiple algorithms. They will analyze by breaking down the images into pixels. Then they will process the information stored in those pixels to identify the objects or the patterns associated with them. So there are two things that I want you to remember here. The first is that even the videos that you input is broken down into each frame and processed as images. And the second thing is pixel is very important in image processing. So we need to understand what are pixels. Now, pixel is the smallest information that can be captured by a camera or displayed on a screen or processed by a computer vision system. So what are these pixels? Pixels are nothing but small squares in which the image is broken down. Let me show you this small video where I'm trying to draw 2 by 2 square with the help of a broad border around it. As you can see, this graph paper is divided into squares. So there is those large squares which has thick borders, and then there are smaller squares within. As you can see in the first image, I have chosen to draw the border with the largest squares. But in the second one, I'm drawing the border using the smaller squares. I could also use the smallest square that there is to draw these borders. Now tell me which of these images is more vibrant or rich. I have used the same color, blue color pen. That is why I used a single color. So I have used the same color, but to me the second one looks better. And I think it does to you as well. We have used the smaller squares, and our eyes, which are the best cameras in the universe, get more information, and our brain draws a very rich picture of that same 2 by 2 square. The key takeaway here is the more number of pixels that you have, the better the quality of the image. Now, any image can be black and white. We use the term grayscale or color. So grayscale or color. Grayscale is just a combination of black and white. Now you can see all these numbers on the screen. Why the numbers? You know that the computer works with numbers. So it needs a number associated with each information that I want to store. I want to store that this image is black. So it will associate the number 0 with that and store. So that is a black color. Now in grayscale, just because it is a combination of black or white, there is just one number associated with each pixel. What is the percentage of black or white? It is just black, no white, 0. If it is only white, no black, 255. Anything in between the gray colors that we know, that will be a number associated. Here, all the numbers are not being shown. It's just for your understanding. But the moment we come to colors, you need to remember that there are three primary colors that we have: red, blue, green, and all the colors are a combination of these three colors. So we need to store a color image or process a color image, then we have to store three information for each pixel: the intensity of red, the intensity of blue, the intensity of green. If it is a red color, then it will be R255 and G and B would be 0 and 0. If it is yellow, then R would be 0, G would be 255 and B would be 0, or if it is blue, then it is 0, 255, 255. So see the contrast here. For grayscale, each pixel needs to have one number, but for color, each pixel needs to have three numbers associated with it. So that is about pixels that you need to understand. We have already covered in my previous video that all AI systems are trained on humongous amount of data, huge data sets, and a computer vision system is no different. It is trained on huge data sets to identify the objects when it is put into practical use. The objects on which it is trained have to be relevant to the task at hand. I've covered this in detail in my video on the first domain of AI, that is data. So you can go watch that if you want. Otherwise, let us just get to the broad steps that occur in the computer vision process, how the system actually learns to see. The first is, of course, image acquisition. To understand this, you can take the example of facial recognition in smartphones. Before you can start using the facial recognition, you have to store your own image in the smartphone, and then later when you are trying to use your face for unlocking the camera, the smartphone would compare it with the image that is already stored, that okay, this person is allowed or not. If you want 2 or 3 people to be able to unlock using facial recognition, you will need to store those 2-3 facial images. The next step is pre-processing, not processing. Processing would be like steps to identify the objects, but we need some pre-processing because you know that images can be really large and difficult to handle. You would know this if you have tried to transfer an image in its original quality to someone. You send it by WhatsApp, the quality of the image would just tank. So you can use Bluetooth transfer, but then that you can do only with someone who is near you. You can try sending it by email, but then they have limits to how much attachments you can have, and just in 3-4 images the limit is reached. So you have to resort to other means like uploading in Drive and then sharing the link. So images are large and difficult to handle. If you have just 100 or 200 images to handle, you find it so difficult. In a data sets there are millions of images. So we have to take care that further storing and processing is easier. That is why we need to pre-process the image that is captured. The first decision that is always taken in pre-processing is whether I want to store the image as grayscale or I have to retain the colored image. If the color is not important, then grayscale works fine. But sometimes we need color images, so color images will be stored. You must be wondering why I want to convert to grayscale. You saw just now that for each pixel, if it is a grayscale, then I need to store just one number. But if it is a color image, I need to store 3 numbers. So that is triple the amount of storage space required. That is triple the amount of processing time and resources required. That is why storing grayscale is more efficient and fast when it comes to storing and processing. Then there are other decisions to be taken, like normalization, where we decide, do we want the image in the same size or we can compress it so that it is a smaller size. I don't need to explain that smaller images would be easier to store and handle. So these are 2 primary things. Other things are also done depending on the use of that CV system. The third step is feature extraction. You have the image now stored in the dataset. Now you want to identify the object. For identifying the object, you have to detect its features like edges or corners or textures. We know that if it is an apple, there will be a deeper dip at the top. If it is an orange, then it will be shallow. If it is a strawberry, the surface of the fruit will look dotted. So these are all features that are extracted. These features help the system to detect the outline of an object. So if it is a autonomous vehicle, it can detect that there is a pedestrian ahead of me, or this is a car ahead of me. That is how feature extraction step happens. The next step is segmentation. Segmentation, as the name suggests, we divide the image into smaller regions, and that decision to divide is based on characteristics like color, the regions that have the same color, the regions that have the same intensity or texture or dip or troughs. Segmentation helps isolate objects of interest from the background. For example, there is a CCTV camera installed outside my home. It will detect that there is a human being outside, or there is a stray dog or cat, or there is a car that is parked on the road, and that is done by segmentation. After the segmentation is done, the object needs to be detected. By segmentation, I have just identified that this is something that is different from the surroundings. So now I need to detect which object it is. That is done using advanced neural networks like CNNs or RNN or generative networks. They are already trained to take an image and identify the object and categorize them as the need be. For example, if there is an AI model that is deployed in autonomous vehicles, it needs to identify road signs, pedestrians, other vehicles, stray animals. In the segmentation phase, the model has detected that there is something that is different from the surroundings, and that image is fed to the neural networks, and the neural network will identify that what it is. Is it a road sign? Is it a pedestrian or something else? And the final step is decision making. Based on the identified objects, the system will take action. For example, if it is a self-driving car and it sees a stop sign, the car will apply brakes so that it will ensure it is compliant with traffic rules. If it is a CCTV camera installed outside my house and it will detect an intruder and it finds out that it is a human being, so it will follow its path where they are going, and if they come too near to my house, then maybe they will sound an alarm, whatever they have been set up to do in case of intruders. They might find that there is a cat and the person is a cat lover, and so they will send a message to their smartphone saying that there is a stray cat in your garden and you can come and take care of it. So that is about decision making. The last step. Now we covered a lot in this video, so let me just recap it. Computer vision transforms raw visual data into actionable insights. It will detect a stop sign and apply brake. Raw visual data, actionable insight. The CCTV camera will detect an intruder and sound the alarm. Visual data into actionable insights. In this way, computer vision enables machines to interact with their environments, interact intelligently with their environments. So whether it is recognizing faces or identifying pedestrians ahead of them or detecting anomalies in medical imaging, each of the 6 steps that we discussed contributes to the overall capability of the AI systems to see and then act. They don't just see, the computer systems also help in acting. That is all for today. Thank you for watching. As I mentioned earlier, this is part of a series of 3 videos discussing the 3 AI domains. You can check the playlist from the description and watch the other videos. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask in the comments. I promise to answer. And if you like my videos, you find them useful, please subscribe them so that the next time when I upload a video, you will be informed. That's all for today. Thank you. Bye-bye.